They allowed me to read some of the mail that came in. From all over the states and the world, kind letters came in. I read a few, but one of them I will never forget. I had received one from the president and the vice president. I've forgotten what those telegrams said. I had received a visit and a letter from the governor of New York. I've forgotten what that letter said. But there was another letter that came from a little girl, a young girl who was a student at the White Plains High School. And I looked at that letter, and I will never forget it. It said simply, "Dear Dr. King, I am a 9th grade student at the White Plains High School." And she said, "While it should not matter, I would like to mention that I'm a white girl. I read in the paper of your misfortune and of your suffering. And I read that if you had sneezed, you would have died. I'm simply writing to say, I'm so happy that you didn't sneeze. I, too, am happy that I didn't sneeze. Because if I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1960 when students all over the South started sitting in at lunch counters. And I knew as they were sitting in, they were really standing up for the best in the American dream, taking that whole nation back to those great wells of democracy, which were dug deep by the founding fathers in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1961 when we decided to take a ride for freedom and ended segregation in interstate travel. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1962 when the Negroes of Albany, Georgia, straighten their backs up. And whenever men and women straighten their backs up, they're going somewhere because a man can't ride your back unless it is bent. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here to 1963 when the black people of Birmingham, Alabama, aroused the conscience of this nation and brought in being the Civil Rights Bill. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around later that year in August to try to tell America about a dream that I had had. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here to Birmingham, Alabama to see the great movement there. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in Memphis to see a community rally around those brothers and sisters who are suffering. I'm so happy that I didn't sneeze. And they were telling me, "Nah, it don't matter now. We've got some difficult days ahead, but it really don't matter much to me now." I left Atlanta this morning, and as we got started on the plane, there were 6 of us. The pilot said over the public address system, "We're sorry for the delay, but we have Dr. Martin Luther King on the plane, and to be sure that all the bags were checked, and to be sure that nothing would be wrong on the plane, we had to check everything out carefully, and we had the plane protected and guarded all night." And then I got into Memphis, and some began to say the threats or talk about the threats that were out there of what would happen to me from some of our sick white brothers. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead, but it really don't matter much to me now because I've been to the mountaintop. And I don't mind. Like anybody, I like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I have seen the promised land. Now, I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.